Madam Speaker, I'm Shamari Stone from Como 4 News. I have a question for you that hasn't been pointed out, but a lot of Americans feel this way. Do you think it's fair to send people to jail for not buying health insurance?
Well, the point is that we want to make sure that everyone has access to health care. For a long time now, people who haven't had health care or provided it have placed the burden on others. Everybody is paying the price for uncompensated care. I don't need to tell you that in a hospital. And so what this is to say we all have to do our part, and that is the point of the bill.
But Madam Speaker, I'm just trying to understand. If you don't buy health insurance, you go to jail?
Well,
you didn't answer my question.
I think the legislation is very fair in this respect. It gives people an opportunity to have health care, access to quality health care. If they can't afford it, it provides subsidies for them to do so. But do you think it's fair if somebody says, well, I'm just not going to have it, and if I get sick, then I'll just go to the emergency room and send the bill to you? That's my view on the subject. Yes, next.
I do not think they are protesting their obligation to financially support the government of this nation. What they are protesting is the massive expansion of that federal government into every aspect of their lives.
Under the House bill, those who can afford to buy insurance but don't, can afford to do it but don't, pay a fine. And if they refuse to pay a fine, there's a threat, as there is with lots of tax fines, there's a threat of jail time. And the Senate removed that provision in the Senate Finance Committee. Do you think it's appropriate to have a threat of jail time for those who refuse to buy insurance?
You know, what I think is appropriate is that in the same way that everybody has to get auto insurance, and if you don't, you're subject to some penalty, that in this situation, if you have the ability to buy insurance, it's affordable, and you choose not to do so, forcing you and me and everybody else to subsidize you. There's a $1,000 hidden tax that families all across America are burdened by because of the fact that people don't have health insurance. There's nothing wrong with a penalty. Now, what those penalties are, I think they have to be high enough that people don't game the system. On the other hand, I think it's important for us not to be so punitive that people who are having a hard time suddenly find themselves worse off because of health care reform, and that's why we built in some hardship exemptions. There may be situations, relatively rare, where even after the subsidies that are provided, it's still very hard for people to afford to get the health insurance that they need. And we should anticipate and build in those hardship exemptions. But I think the general broad principle is simply that people who are paying for their health insurance aren't subsidizing folks who simply choose not to until they get sick and then suddenly they expect free health insurance. That's a basic concept of responsibility that I think most Americans abide by.
But as the Senate puts its final bill together, and as the House and Senate prepare to vote after the conference committee, they should know, does the president think jail time is an appropriate?
Well, I'm not sure that's the biggest question
no,
that
but
they're
it's
asking
a question.
right now.
It's a
so
question.
I think I put out the principle that penalties are appropriate for people who try to free ride the system and force others to pay for their health insurance.
Okay.